Welcome back to my channel, everyone. If you are new here, hi, I'm Winnie, and I'm so glad that you're here. In this video, I will be sharing everything I made for dinner this week. These are some of my family's favorite dishes. The recipes or links to the recipes will be in the description box, so check that out. I love watching these dinner idea videos because I feel like I always get stuck cooking the same things. So hopefully you'll find some dinner ideas, and let me know in the comments below if you like to see more of these type of videos here, or if you have any meal suggestions you'd like for me to make. Let's get started. I have shared this teriyaki meatballs recipe here before. I actually make this for my family like once or twice a month. It's definitely on heavy rotation around here. For this recipe, I use 2 pounds of ground turkey, but you can use any ground meat that you prefer. I certainly have made this with different types of ground meat before, but for some reason, we always have ground turkey in the fridge. And you can also cut this recipe in half, but I feel like if I'm going to make meatballs, I'm going to make enough for leftovers. I use a mini ice cream scoop to portion out the meatballs. I believe it's like 2 tablespoons, and I pretty much always end up with 35 meatballs. So you may end up with different amount depending on the size of your meatballs. You also want to refrigerate the meatballs for at least 15 minutes so they'll firm up a bit. I find that it prevents them from falling apart during the cooking process, and I always take the extra step in searing them first because it creates a nice crust on the outside as opposed to putting them straight into the oven, but that is completely up to you. You also want to make sure that you cook this in batches. You don't want to put too many meatballs at the same time, and if you are using turkey, be sure to add a little bit more extra oil in there. So while the meatballs are in the oven, I went ahead and made the teriyaki sauce. Here I'm just cooking some ginger, garlic, and green onion. I normally don't put green onion in there, but I just felt like it this day. Also, if you are using fatty ground meat like beef or lamb, you may want to discard most of the grease. You'll only need about 1 tablespoon of oil here. So then I added the soy sauce, brown sugar, mirin, and cornstarch slurry, which is just 1 part cornstarch to 2 parts cold water. Stir, and this will thicken the teriyaki sauce. And now you're just going to add the meatballs in there and let it simmer in the sauce for about 5 minutes. Drizzle with some sesame oil and garnish with sliced onion. I serve this with rice and air fried green beans. Next up is Marini Chicken. If you are on TikTok, you know that this went viral. It felt like everyone was making it, and for good reason. It's pretty much chicken with pasta and creamy sun-dried tomatoes and Parmesan sauce. If you hear noises in the background, it's just my kids. It's actually pretty similar to how I make Tuscan chicken. The main ingredient for the sauce is definitely sun-dried tomatoes cut thinly. I use chicken cutlets here. I like it better, and it also cooks faster and more even. You can buy regular chicken breast and just cut it in half lengthwise and pound thinly, or just use as is and just adjust the cooking time. Dress that in some seasoned flour. I use salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, smoked paprika, and Italian seasoning. You want to shake off the excess flour. It should be lightly dredged in flour. I think I used like 6 or 8 chicken cutlets. Into a large skillet, I added some oil and butter and sear like 3 to 4 pieces at a time for about 3 minutes on each side. Removed into a plate and cook the remainder of the cutlets. Then I added some diced shallot. You can also use onion. Add a pinch of salt and cook for 4 minutes. Then add some minced garlic, the sun-dried tomatoes, chicken broth. Be sure to scrape off the bits from the bottom of the skillet. Then I added the same seasoning I used in the flour. Y'all forgive me, but I do not measure any of this stuff. Just use your cooking instinct. Always remember to add a little bit at a time because you can always add some more in the end. Okay, so after a few minutes, I added some heavy cream. Let that simmer. Then you're going to add some grated Parmesan. Give it a stir. Then just add your chicken back into the skillet. This doesn't take long. That's why I love using cutlets. And just spoon that sauce over the chicken for a few minutes and serve this with pasta. Put that chicken on top and pour the sauce over. I was so tired that I didn't just feel like making any type of veggies, so I just skipped it. I think adding spinach in the sauce will be delicious. So I don't even know what the correct name for this pasta shape is, but my kids picked it. You can also just use spaghetti or linguine or whatever that you like, but there is a good reason why this recipe went viral. It is super delicious. I mean, look at that. This Chipotle inspired chicken bowl was definitely a labor of love. It took the longest to prepare in comparison to the other dinner this week, but it's so worth it. For the chicken marinade, I used onion, garlic, this adobo sauce from the can. You can use the entire can, but that would be too spicy for my kids. So I just used all the sauce and a couple of the Chipotle peppers. I saved the peppers for something else. You'll see in the end. I also added some seasoning in there, some salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, smoked paprika, cumin, and chili powder. Fill the can with water, add to the marinade, and just blend until smooth. I use boneless, skinless chicken thighs here. It's my favorite cut of chicken. Marinate this for at least 4 to 6 hours, overnight if possible. The longer, the better for sure. Feel free to use whatever cut of chicken that you prefer. Just cover in plastic wrap and refrigerate. Then I made some pico de gallo. I just used some seeded diced tomatoes, diced onions, cilantro, lime juice, and a heavy pinch of salt. That is it. That's how I like my pico de gallo. Simple, but I would have added some serrano in there, but again, that'll be too spicy for my kids. Just stir, and I'm going to scoop out about a half a cup for the guacamole. Here I have some avocados. I love it when they're pretty on the inside. I just made this on my cutting board. It's easy to smash them. This is my veggies only cutting board, so no meat. Well, I wouldn't use a wooden cutting board for meat anyways. And no fruits because we don't want our fruits to taste like garlic. So I added some lime juice, salt, and the pico de gallo that I reserved. Combine and place into a tight lid container with lid, and then I took a nap because that was a lot. I am making some Mexican rice, so I'll blend together some tomatoes, onion, garlic, water, tomato bouillon, chicken bouillon. I added some oil into a pan and toast the rice until brown. Then I added the tomato sauce and 1 cup of water. Add some bay leaves, let simmer, and cook for about 15 minutes on low heat. Now we're gonna get into this chicken. Add some oil and just cook the chicken until it is completely done or until it reaches about 165 degrees Fahrenheit internal temperature. Let this rest, and then you're going to cut this into desired size. It's so flavorful, and you can also save this for the next day. It's perfect for lunch. It just tastes even better actually. Now the chicken is rice no, the chicken, the rice is done by now. So I just use a fork to give it a fluff. I like to serve this with the rice, pico de gallo, guacamole, and remember the leftover chipotle peppers. I just blend that with equal parts mayo and sour cream, lime juice, salt, and cumin. I love this sauce, and you can use it with pretty much anything. And I also like to add some diced jalapenos on top. It's so, so good. This tastes better than Chipotle and also cheaper, and you can add as much guacamole on there as you like. I have been making this Taiwanese spaghetti for years. It's so flavorful, and it's supposed to only take 20 minutes to make, but it always ended up taking me 40 minutes to make it because I'm slow. Just combine the ingredients for the sauce. I do this while the pasta is cooking. Then you're going to add some oil into a pan and cook some diced onion until translucent, about 4 to 5 minutes. Then you're going to add your ground meat. I, of course, use ground turkey. I'm going to add the link to the recipe in the description box. Please note that I double the recipe. I always do. We just eat it again the next day. And just like regular spaghetti, it tastes better the next day because the flavors have combined together nicely or something like that. It's got like oyster sauce, soy sauce, a little brown sugar, whole bunch of stuff in there. Once the meat is no longer pink, you're going to add the sauce, and I cook the spaghetti al dente and let it finish cooking in the sauce. I think that's probably the only deviations that I do from the original recipe. Give this a taste and add whatever you think it needs. Drizzle some sesame oil and green onion on top. I sauteed some spinach with garlic and a little bit of oil and just add a pinch of salt. Super easy, and it's delicious with this dish. Beef bulgogi is seriously so easy to make and tastes amazing. The only ingredient that you may not have on hand is an Asian pear or Korean pear, but I have heard that you can use apple or kiwi instead. It's supposed to tenderize the meat. I've never used anything other than Asian pear for this, so I can't really speak on that, but I might try it one day just to see. So you're going to blend together the pear, onion, water, garlic, and ginger. Blend until smooth, then combine that with your sauce. I also used a ribeye here. Normally you would use ribeye roll, but I can only get that at an Asian market and I just didn't get a chance to go. Also, I love ribeye steak, so it worked out. Just cut it as thinly as possible. Stick it in the freezer for like 30 minutes and you should be able to cut it easily. Combine the steak with the marinade and let this sit in the fridge overnight. I'm telling you, be patient with this one and let this marinate. Cover it with plastic wrap, and this is what it looks like the next day. Use a cast iron skillet to cook this because you want this cook on high heat. Add some oil. It doesn't take long, about 4 to 5 minutes or so. I added some sliced onion and green onion, and you are good. Also, cook this in batches so it doesn't steam. I used about 2 pounds of meat, and I think it took like 3 batches to cook them all. I saved some for the next day. Warning, this will splatter everywhere, so use the grease splatter screen. It helps a lot. I served this with some carrots, cucumber, lettuce, and Thai chilies for some heat and some rice. And that is it. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I will see you next time. Bye.